David, if I can come to you first, is there any benefit in Black History Month to you?
I don't think so. It's a relatively new thing. I mean, I was a teacher for about 20 years before I got actively involved in politics, and we never had it then. And everyone was happy. Nobody sort of really noticed there was any deficiency in the education, history education. But then you have these subjects like PSHE and citizenship, which are relatively new subjects, and they get added to, and the government puts more and more things on with social dimensions and so on. All of the kind of things which you talked about there, intersectionality, the Black History Month, the LGBTQ History Month and Pride Appreciation Day and all this, they sort of get put into this subject, and it's almost like indoctrination into some kind of critical race theory, critical gender theory, sort of, beast that is being put into children, and they get all kinds of terrible guilt from it. The point about Black History Month is, it seems to me, it's not so much celebrating good black people. I mean, Clarence Thomas, for example, Supreme Court judge, Candace Owens and so on. If you talked about people like that, brilliant. But it seems to me...
They're not politically black, though. They're racially black.
OK.
In the intersectional world, you've got to be politically black and racially black. Sophia, is there a danger in speaking to young children about immutability? Do kids notice skin colour? Is it important that we raise all kids, if we want to be a genuinely progressive society, that you're equal and that you each have the opportunity of your life? We live in a meritocratic world. What would you say?
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, I think super young children, I feel like they don't see colour. I feel like as they get older in teenage years and their influence from around them, their parents, who they hang out with, their families and stuff, they begin to see colour. They begin to copy what their parents and what their families do. Things that they see on TV is subconscious bias that just leads into what they think and stuff. So I think it is important to speak on positive black role models and things like that, and black history as a whole, like Black History Month. Sometimes I feel it's a tick boxing exercise.
When you say to speak on positive black role models, should that be anyone from any immutable skin colour characteristic? Should anyone be able to speak about positive black role models, or should that be only for black people to speak about, or white people to speak about, or who should speak about it? Because for me, the Martin Luther King line, I want my 4 young daughters to be judged on the content of their character rather than colour of their skin.
Yes.
We were there, and now we're going, no, we must talk about skin colour again. So, and I find it very, very painful, actually, in a lot of ways. I think it's divided society. What would you say to that?
It's like, it's pros and cons. We do need to address skin colour because racism does exist.
Direct racism, though, or systemic racism?
Bit of both.
Really?
Yeah.
So I would disagree with you. Sorry to give you a hard time.
Yeah.
But, you're brave enough to come up. I would I would agree that direct racism exists, and we should all stand together whenever we see an example of it.
Yeah.
We should come together, all of us, whatever skin colour, and go down. But I don't believe, and I don't think any of the data supports a view that the United Kingdom certainly is a systemically racist country. Can I just ask David what he thinks about, because I have to be sort of equal in my understanding. David, would you say the United Kingdom is systemically racist?
No, I don't think so at all. Like you said, and it's a good phrase, there's direct racism. No, I've experienced direct racism when I was a kid growing up in the 70s and 80s, early 80s and so on. But I think with the Black History Month and so on, there's this narrative that the UK is systemically racist, and therefore we have to fight white privilege, which is a new phrase that seems to have come into the lexicon over the last 10 years or so.
Sounds a bit racist to me.
Right, because, there is direct racism not just from white people, but from black people, from, other people of other races as well. And so we have to, realise that it's not just a one-way street and, take that into account. But it's very interesting what you said. Like, when kids are younger, then they don't see colour. They're colourblind, if you like. And when I first came to London, it was in the early 90s, and the 90s were a fantastic decade because, it was after the fall of the Berlin Wall. It was before 9/11. Everyone seemed to be happy. There was a sort of air of hope and prosperity, but everyone just took each other as a person. You'd have people from all different races, white, black, brown, wherever, Jewish, Russian, and we'd all just get on together. Yeah. And I never saw, that's a black person, that's a brown person. I just saw them by their names.
Fair, we are different generations, so I'm in my old school generation, it's rude to ask a woman how old she is. But
I'm in my 30s.
I'm sensing we're coming from a different generation.
Yeah.
So talk to me. Tell me what you think is important about this, about Black History Month.
About Black History Month. It's important that young people of all races understand that Black people, there's more than just slavery that happened with Black people, because I feel like that's all that young people seem to understand of what about Black history. And I feel like in schools, maybe what they just seem to do is like a tick box exercise, and let's just talk about Black inventors and things like that. And I would disagree with you when you say that there isn't systemic racism in this country. Even me, myself, as a mixed race woman, has experienced that, let alone a Black man. And I know it's something that maybe you may not understand, or maybe you from wherever your background is, but I've experienced it, my children have experienced it. And it's very frustrating, but it irritates.
But you're successful. You're a businesswoman.
Oh yeah, of course.
I'm interested to just
Yeah.
to just hear this. The experiences that your children have been through. What do you mean by that?
I feel like sometimes they get looked at a certain way because of how they look. For example,
Do you feel that they're looked at a certain way, or you have evidence that they're looked at a certain way?
Well, I feel that way. And it's hard to prove it. So someone just saying like the N-word at someone, that's obviously racist. But how someone treats someone based on the colour of their skin, which I can see that's clear that's happened. If my sons, who are Black, are out with a group of their white friends, for example, we was in Thorpe Park yesterday and it was Fright Night, and the zombies were walking around and chasing people. Out of all of their friends, she chose to say, these lot were the ones that were being rude, not these lot. And she pointed at all the Black boys in the group and not the white ones.
She?
The security.
Right. So you're.
But they were all doing the exact same thing. They were all mucking around, being boisterous. But yet she pointed out. And
do you think that there is a problem when we take two immutably coloured skin groups, white and Black, and we tell one group of those people that they are the victims of an oppression that they may yet be to see or experience? I mean, I certainly know with my own kids, it's really difficult to explain to them simple things, let alone complicated things like that. Do you think that we're subjugating people by telling them that they're the victims of oppression, and that we should, as a country, stand up and turn around and go, we are all equal, we're all as British as each other?
Yeah, of course. I never tell my children that they're victims and, the world is against them, and because you're Black, you're going to be trod on and stuff like that. Like you said, I'm a businesswoman, and I'm an example to my children that just because I am of colour, I can't achieve great things, and so of them as well. So, no, I will never tell them that, the system is against you and things like that. No, you're capable, just like everybody else, to achieve anything that you want to, of course.
And what would you say to someone who turned around and said that this systemic racism, which is spoken about, seems to be so absent that people like Justice Smollett have to invent it?
Yeah, I don't know why he would do something like that.
And the girl in the netball team last week in America who said that she was called the N-word.
Yeah.
And they did a thorough investigation if she wasn't. The fake news in the NASCAR rally, in the NASCAR garages. David, do you think we've gone too far with this?
Yeah, I think so. And like you say, some people are just making up stories. And also, you get these accusations based on how people feel. I feel someone looked at me in the wrong way. And then therefore that's an indication of systemic racism. But no crime has been committed. No one said anything even that's, bad or wrong or illegal. But then there's this sort of narrative built up that feeds into the whole critical race theory. And then you level the accusation that the society is systemically racist. And then you need to do things to change this. I was on the London Assembly for 5 years, and one of the biggest people who wanted to sort of change society, if you like, was Sadiq Khan. He even set up a whole commission for diversity in the public spaces, and he was talking about renaming streets and removing statues and monuments because he needed to tackle this systemic racism. But that just makes the problem worse. I think that just winds people up because there isn't any systemic racism. But when he kind of does that and actually, you get people who want to, ruin history, take away the history of these islands, then actually that gets people annoyed. And then, that just feeds into divisions where there doesn't need to be any, stoking up divisions and tensions.
So, Sophia, what would your positive message be to young kids of all skin colours, hues, sexualities, and confusions and happinesses. What would you? You're a mum, so what do you say to your kids, and what's your message of hope for our young people who are, right in the mix of this?
Just to accept and just be loving to everybody. I mean, it's just, we are all literally the same person. We all just have different pigmentations of our skin. Like, that's literally it. We're all equal, and let's just take people for how they are, not just because of the shade of their skin.
Oh, man. I think we all agree.
Yeah.
We ended up agreeing.
Yeah.
Sophia, thank you so much. David, thank you so much for joining and having a lovely conversation. I feel really uplifted by it. Thank you. Okay. So, thank you to Heritage Party leader David Curtin and Sophia Strachan. That was really interesting and lovely. CEO of Young Persons Charity, Just As You Are.